Hey there, I'm Priscilla Shire. Thank you so much for joining us today on The Chat. It is a treat to be here with you. I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you like it happened to me, that I was watching a television program, or maybe you heard a radio interview, or you just saw somebody from afar whose story was so moving, that mattered so much, whose story was so gripping, maybe by the traces of it, the scars of it that you saw on them. It really impacted you in a way that stayed with you long after that interview was over or long after that conversation was over. It just kind of hung with you in your heart and in your mind. That happened to me. And it happened fairly recently. And right away, I started putting as many things in motion as I could to be able to sit down with this guest myself, because I wanted to meet her. Her story is one of absolute tragedy, but one really that has a lot of beauty that rises out of these ashes. You're going to want to stay tuned today because you're going to want to meet Christy Sims. I'm going to let you hear her story. I'm going to let you see some photos, and I'm going to let you hear a 911 call that really sets in motion a course of events that is going to stick with you for a long time. Stay tuned. I was sitting on my sofa at home watching a woman being interviewed on a talk show, and I was riveted. I was riveted for many reasons, but also because when I looked at her, I saw strength, I saw courage, I saw a woman who was sure of herself and had a lot going for her. But I also saw a woman who, in the course of a day, her entire life completely changed because of domestic violence. Listen to this 911 call.
Henry County 911, what's up?
Yes, I need an ambulance.
What's going on?
My girlfriend, I think it's drain cleaner. We're just putting it in the toilet and we slipped. Sit down, baby, sit down.
Okay, she fell?
Sit down, sit
She
down.
fell? Is she bleeding from anywhere?
No.
Ask her what is she complaining of. What is her chief complaint?
What?
What is hurting her?
Skin. It's burning her skin.
Okay, it's burning her skin.
Yes.
She fell on his Drano.
Yes.
Get up.
I'm sorry.
Can she get up?
Yes, she sit down.
Okay, just 1 second. I'm going to get poison control on the line too, okay?
What? I have to take care of her. I can't
Okay,
talk.
listen, I'm going to get poison control on the line, okay?
Yes.
Hold on just a second.
Hold on, let me...
I have been looking so forward to meeting this woman. I know all of you are going to enjoy meeting her as well. Would you please help me to welcome Christy Sims? Christy, I've been waiting to meet you.
And I've been waiting to meet you.
And I'm so glad to lay eyes on you. You are beautiful.
Thank you.
You are a beautiful woman, and you have a
Thank you.
story to tell.
I do.
You do. Okay, we just, it's very obvious when someone looks at you today, you look different than you did 2.5 years ago.
I do.
So tell us, just in a nutshell at first, just tell us what happened that caused this physical change in your life, really that has changed the trajectory of your entire life because of it. What happened?
I made the decision. I was in a relationship with a guy for a few years, and I decided I did not want to marry him. And I started backing away from the relationship. And he sensed it. And on April 28th, 2013, he called me to the bathroom of my house. He had been there with me that weekend. And before I could even get into the bathroom, he was right in front of me. He had a bowl in his hand, and he doused me with what I found out later was industrial-grade sulfuric acid. It's what people use all over the world to disfigure and disfame people's faces. So,
was there anything that was happening in your relationship leading up to this that would have given you an inkling that this was something he could do?
There were signs. There were warning signs. In retrospect, to be honest with you, my backing away had a lot to do with the fact that my children didn't like this guy. They just would never warm up to him. And I had made the decision, I can't marry a guy that my kid, that, there's nothing there. And He just became more and more possessive and controlling, to the point where it was making me miserable.
So what did that look like? What did controlling and possessive look like in a specific way?
Going through my personal things, crossing boundaries. He would go through my phone, find ways into my locked phone, and then drilled me about what's in my phone, my personal phone. This is the guy that wasn't my husband, that didn't live with me. He would find ways into my computer. Started accusing me of things that, was just not true. Very jealous, very possessive. I worked in an all-male environment, and he had a problem with that, So just things that I did not do to him, and I did not feel comfortable with him doing to me. He made me feel very unfree. I felt like I had to check in all the time. And if I was missing for a few hours, he would have called me 1,000,000 times during that time, These are all signs of abuse. And to be honest with you, this guy was pretty much that way throughout the relationship, but I became more cognizant of it as I started to study human behavior, and as I became more aware of myself.
Because you were studying to be a counselor, so you were already in your master's degree program.
Yeah, I finished my master's degree about 6 months before this happened.
Okay.
He did this about 12 days before I was supposed to graduate. A lot of people say she was pursuing her master's degree. I was already working as a counselor. I was already helping people, and I had already earned my master's degree, but I'm the first woman in my family to get a master's degree, so I wanted to go back and walk. At 42 years old, I wanted to wear the cap and gown.
That's right.
So, and he knew that, and he knew how important that was to me, and I think that milestone, which was a great thing in my life, I think it felt like it was a ladder away from him to him,
Do you feel like he felt like he needed to go out of his way to kind of keep you in check, to when there's things to celebrate in your life where you're going up, that he needs to be the one to sort of kind of keep you down?
Yeah, this is a guy that didn't finish high school. He was, he owned businesses and things like that, but didn't value education the way that I valued education. And always kind of, how do you put it, reduced the fact that I was an educated woman. But in retrospect, I think it was because, he felt inadequate in that area.
Yeah, insecure.
In that area. So.
Okay, so let's go back to that day. I want to know about what were you doing, what was happening, what was your countenance like before this happened? So take us through that particular day up until the time when this happened to you.
I woke up about 10 o'clock that morning, and I just woke up with this excitement. I had this, if you can imagine, I was 42 years old. I had just finished a really tough master's program.